But we are here with the guys, Sean and Trent. Welcome to the Daily Exchange.
Thanks, man.
Thank you, Fred.
And all the way along, guys, if you do have questions, do tweet them, ping them, send them in by carrier pigeon. Cryptocurrencies are accepted as questions as well. And welcome us to the show. Now, you guys are doing some incredible stuff. Incredible. And I want to talk all about this. If you want to just give us, maybe Sean, if you want to talk us through what is Emanate and break it down for us in sort of simple terms.
Yeah, look, keeping it as simple as possible. Emanate is the audio exchange protocol. Okay, we're building on EOS, and we're building technology that's going to bring decentralization to audio industries. Focus squarely on creativity, artistry, putting that stuff back at the core of the music industry, and enabling people to participate in a new way.
Okay, so we've got this audio protocol, right? And I think, talk us about, like, what are the problems right now with the music industry that obviously we're trying to focus on here?
So many problems, right? So many problems.
99 of them.
Absolutely. And the whole industry has been built over decades of evolution and digital disruption, but it has never really caught up with where we are in 2018. It's an industry built around legacy systems that made sense when we printed vinyl and when we printed CDs and distributed physical things. But where we are right now, the world's moving so quickly that really we believe that there needs to be one place on the internet where creators upload their work that can then be integrated, collaborated upon, shared around, and paid fairly every time someone either plays that audio or licenses it or integrates with it. And that doesn't exist just yet. So that's what we're trying to create.
Okay, so the main problem is artists getting paid for their work, artists creating this work, and you guys talked about this. We talked about this a little bit earlier on. The artists are creating these things, and people are basically just ripping them off and then not paying them for it.
They're ripping each other off.
They're ripping each other off. That's even worse.
Yeah.
That's a major problem, right? So what you want to try and do, as I understand, is create this ecosystem of its place where artists, listeners can come together, and obviously the producers, and then they can share and create this ecosystem, really. And you guys talk a lot about this in your white paper as well.
Yeah.
About this ecosystem, and obviously a lot of people are participating in this. Tell us, so how does this work? So we've got a token, the Emanate token.
Yep.
And then you've got a secondary token as well.
Yeah.
And tell us how does that work with listeners? So I'm an artist, I put something up, I've got a listener coming on to listen. How does that work?
Yeah, I think, I guess if we start from the beginning and park the idea of the secondary token for a little bit and go back to what blockchain really offers in terms of every industry and the music industry in particular. So what we're doing is we're taking smart contracts. We've created something that we call a smart collaboration. So at the core, and the very beginning, we're bringing different parties together to share audio with each other, to create new projects, and do it in a way that it protects them, that it reduces the likelihood of them being ripped off by each other or by someone else out there on the internet or even a label or a management company. So we're using smart contracts to enable people to collaborate, and then creating an ecosystem where they can share that music, where they can share the parts, and eventually over time building up enough of a platform of artists working with each other and publishing music that we can then attract listeners. And when you talk about that second token, it's in platform maturity that we believe that second token will be necessary just to provide liquidity and stability to the ecosystem itself. Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are building on EOS. You guys, you're saying your CTO was involved in.
Yeah, and I think that's when we sort of started to look at it. Pedro was definitely the sort of visionary of focusing on EOS. We looked at EOS probably back in September or October.
Yep.
We sort of came to the conclusion after looking at everything out there, looking at Neo, looking at Ethereum, realizing the gas and the costing of actually doing transactions on that platform, that it wasn't going to be viable. Pedro has built, which is our proof of concept, DSound, which is a musical platform similar to SoundCloud that's actually paying out artists for uploading music to that platform. The issue I think that they have with sort of Steemit you're only able to monetize your creative element for 7 days. So that's sort of the issue there. We sort of started like looking at, okay, what's coming up. He sort of looked at, Dan Larimer, who obviously built Steemit and BitShare. And he was sort of starting to work on EOS at the moment, and we started looking into that, and some of the stuff that was coming out on the transaction speed, the costing, the ability for storage and things like that really sort of made us, I guess, gravitate to that in the early beginning. And I was saying earlier, it's interesting to look at how far it's come. When we started originally going out on the road and talking about this and saying we're thinking of building on EOS, people were like, you guys are crazy. Why are you doing EOS? Like, you should be building on Ethereum. That's where it's all happening. And I think we sat down multiple times and went, can we do this on Ethereum? And right now, we don't believe it's possible to actually do it, just from the costing, the storage, and the speed functionality that needs to happen. When you need to play a track, you want to hear it instantaneously. Like, you don't want to be waiting 15 seconds for that track to be transferred and to be able to be heard. So
when you're talking about like microtransactions and you're trying to solve problems in an industry where there's a lot of different players and you want as much money as possible to be left for the artist at the end, how is that ever going to happen when there's a blockchain transaction fee every time some value gets exchanged? So it was a really hard sell for us in the beginning to say we were building on EOS, but people are coming around now, and looking at the demo that we're working on at the moment, it's just as fast as any kind of centralized server application. So
really,
things are looking really positive. And
tell us about that. So you've been running some tests.
Yeah. So
tell us about that experience.
So we're running an EOS node locally for our testing environment. And we're building up a demo which has got smart collaborations for artist-to-artist exchange, and a simple streaming platform which will have a demonstration token built in to show that exchange of value for plays and so forth. That's literally just a few weeks away. And looking over the shoulder of Blake, our full stack dev, just yesterday, testing out that API that we've built, it's responding like that. And there's no reason why it won't do that in the mainnet environment as well. Maybe a millisecond or so slower, but it's quick. It's really quick. And so, the only thing that we're watching closely is the governance around EOS and the cost of the RAM, which is rapidly rising. But those things should sort themselves out over time. It's a really new blockchain, and the guys are being really transparent around how it's working. You can watch the block producer meetings live on YouTube when they come out, and it's pretty nerdy stuff, but it's pretty interesting, and it gives you a bit of confidence in the EOS block producer team.
Yeah, for sure. So really interesting, obviously, talking about the transaction speed and those kind of things. I think it's very, very, very interesting. Now, I just want to go back, because there are interesting incentives, I think, with the ecosystem around participation. And I think this is a really unique aspect to it, because you've got, I guess, the artists, the listeners, and then you've got influencers, music influencers. Tell us about how they can get involved with Emanate. Yeah,
so in the current environment, I guess, with say Spotify, SoundCloud, people running blogs, in the current environment, it's difficult for music influencers to monetize the work that they're doing without putting ads on their platform. If I pay $13 a month for my Spotify account, and I'm actively making playlists and following artists and sharing tracks, it costs me exactly the same per month as someone else who just listens and doesn't give back to the community at all. So the thing that Emanate is going to offer is a way for those influencers to monetize what they're giving back to the community. So if I'm creating playlists, if I have a following, if I have a blog and I'm embedding the latest tracks that I find, I'm going to be getting rewarded for that, and that's going to subsidize the involvement that I have in the community. And that's not something that currently exists, and we think it's an essential part of the music ecosystem at large.
Okay, so people can get paid to moderate, to create playlist curation. That's fascinating, and that would happen in the future, I guess, with the secondary token.
Yep.
And then they could cash that out or swap that for EOS, or they could swap it back to
Absolutely.
Cash.
Absolutely.
Now, just so I'm aware, so the secondary token is on EOS as well.
Yes.
Right. So you've got two tokens.
Yeah.
And then something I did find interesting as well is the listeners will purchase with a credit card.
Absolutely.
And so then they will directly purchase cryptocurrency. Is that tell us about that mechanism?
Yeah, so I mean, if you have a look at our roadmap, that part
Do you want to
of
bring that
actually,
up, Joel? Bring up the roadmap as well? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's a slightly older roadmap, but it's still pretty close. So in terms of actually having a production release, that's right down at 2020 at the end of the roadmap there. We can't start charging listeners for consuming music until there's a lot of music on the platform. So the early stages of the roadmap are really just about artist collaboration, sharing music, making music together, and having somewhere to showcase it and attract fair payment for the plays that come in. When we are actually charging listeners to pay a monthly fee to come and use the platform, they don't need to know about crypto. They don't need to know about blockchain. They just want to come and listen to music. So, we've had some chats with people that have said, "Wow, 2020 for a production release, that's so far away." I think that the thing that people need to understand is we're not talking about some release where you have to copy and paste your private key across to open it up and install MetaMask and all of this stuff we have to do with dApps at the moment. We're talking about something that's smooth and simple that anybody who knows nothing about crypto can come and get involved in.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, that's some great. We'll be bringing in a lot of investment into the coin. It's a key avenue.
Absolutely.
So in terms of the beta launch, we saw that there was an alpha launch, I think, in 2018, and a beta launch in 2019.
Yep.
Tell us, how are you sort of going to get adoption of the platform?
Yeah. So we're lucky enough to have some really strong contacts in the dance music, electronic music industry. We've got a handful of great artists on board at the moment. And
So Geordie Daz and Thomas Olsen?
Yeah. They're just a couple of them. And really in terms of like an entry strategy, we are focused on electronic music and hip hop as well. We're also working with Kane Beats, who produced for Nicki Minaj. He produced Super Bass actually. And we're focused squarely on electronic music and hip hop in terms of launching the platform, because those are the genres that are most focused on sort of computer-based music, a lot of collaboration, a lot of sampling, a lot of remixing, a lot of DJ mixes. So that's primed for our platform.
Love it.
And it also happens to be current and crosses over to pop now. So
So just moving on, I guess that's really key. I think I want to talk about your advisors and your team.
Yep.
So your CTO Pedro was involved in creating D Sound, which is on Steam, like you were talking about.
Yeah.
That's a great. Obviously, the Steam platform is one of the. I think it is, if I'm not mistaken, the most transactions that are done.
Yep,
on the blockchain.
Exactly. I think it's at number one, and then BitShares is number two.
Number two.
So I think when we looked at that, that's what gave us really a lot of confidence about EOS as well.
Yeah.
I think success leaves clues, and if you look
Does
at those.
Pedro know Dan? Are they good mates?
No, I think
No.
Pedro's.
He may know of Pedro, but
Right.
they're not friends or anything like that. But yeah, Pedro created D Sound essentially on his own, and that's how we found Pedro. That's how we met him. And yeah, it's a great platform. It distributes over $100,000 a month to independent artists at the moment. But it's something that a developer has spun up with no business plan and no marketing behind it. So
Gotcha.
really, like in terms of a proof of concept, if you look at what that has done completely organically, you can see the potential for Emanate and the functionality that we'll bring to it and turning that into a commercial grade product.
So, what are some of the other advisors you guys have on your team? Tell us a bit about the makeup.
Yeah, so in the last couple of weeks, we sat down and chatted with Ed St. John, who's on the board of Music Australia. He's worked for 3 of the major labels over the last couple of decades, used to write for Rolling Stone, and he's also currently the GM of the Ethics Centre here in Australia. So he's on board. Our earlier advisors, we got the guys from Kenya Coin, who have a advisory company called Masternode Ventures. So JP, CMAC and Kyle help us out a lot. Here in Australia, probably 2 of our closest advisory teams would be the Autonomous Group, which is made up of 5 really experienced businessmen and women who not only are passionate about blockchain and crypto, but have a lot of startup experience as well. So they've helped us map out our kind of lean canvas and looking more at that sort of 3 to 5 year pathway rather than just the pure ICO strategy. And then we have a team of guys called the Coin Hunters, who are deep in the ICO space, helped us with our token economics, help us on a daily basis around what's happening in market and how we need to be responding to all of those sorts of things. So really, really active advisory team. There's a couple of more that are really, really close to being signed off at the moment. And from there, we're just talking to more and more artists and getting more people across the line from the music business world as well. Maybe what might be worth mentioning the Vamper guys.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a partnership that we've just locked down just last week, which is hugely exciting for us. If you're not aware, Vamper is a mobile app that works with musicians in collaboration. So very much kind of a LinkedIn/Tinder for musicians to connect and collaborate.
So this is this new. Yeah, I just brought it up on the screen here, Joel, for everyone. This is the new Vamper.
Yeah.
Yep. So Vamper's just currently hit 400,000 musicians globally. They're in 190 countries, which, as you can imagine, for us is super exciting. That'll really allow us to sort of, I guess, give us that shot in the arm. When you look at a lot of sort of projects out there, there are very few that are starting with a good base like this to sort of work off.
Yeah. So the thing that's really cool about this partnership is it's extremely authentic in terms of how our products can work together. So Vamper is a way for artists just to meet each other and connect if someone's looking for a vocalist or they're looking for someone to engineer their album. Once we integrate the Emanate platform with Vamper and Vamper becomes part of that ecosystem, not only will they use the token to actually exchange value with each other, it'll really be one click between meeting someone and collaborating on Emanate.
That's a great partnership. That's a really good info.
Yeah, we're really excited about it. Baz and Josh, the co-founders, have come on as advisors as well, and we're chatting to those guys on a daily basis and really making this happen together.
Let's talk about the coin offering now.
Yep.
So you guys are in the stage. Obviously, guys, this is not financial advice. This is just purely my opinion. We're just talking about cryptocurrencies here in general. This is pure factual information. We're not encouraging you to invest or do anything or anything like that.
Yeah.
Just so we're very, very clear up front. You guys are currently doing an ICO right now. Just tell us through the timeline right now and sort of where you're at with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've been working on this project for coming up a year. And it's been ramping up progressively over that time. Towards the end of last year, it sort of felt like there was a big ICO race on before the market got too crowded and everything. But at the start of this year, when the market started to dive, we thought, let's just slow this down. Let's build the product out. Let's get partnerships ready. Let's get more advisors on board. We've gotten to the stage now where we've got probably around 4 weeks left for private strategic investment before we move into a pre-sale phase and eventually onto a main sale.
Okay. So there's 4 weeks left sort of for pre-sale. And
4 weeks for the private strategic round.
And there's all the details, obviously, of this, guys. I've just brought it up, Joel, if you want to share out. You can see on the Emanate website with the crowd sale, and you can obviously check it out there.
Yep.
But what I was going to ask with this is, who can invest? Are there any countries that can't invest?
It doesn't look like we'll be taking investment from the US or from China at the moment. Okay. Everybody will be KYC'd, and I think the thing is, you just have to stay on your toes in cryptocurrency. Yeah. Things change day to day, so we have to behave in the same way. So we'll be constantly watching regulatory changes in every market, including our own. And as the doors are open, we'll let through those who are allowed to invest.
So one of the questions I do have, and I think it's one of our audience is very interested in, is you guys obviously building on EOS, but what currencies are you raising money in?
Yeah, so at the moment the platform that we're using is called CoinCart. That can accept Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's talk of it accepting Stellar, but I'm not too sure exactly where that's at. Really, those are the two currencies that people want to put into an ICO. There are other platforms out there that accept up to 10 currencies, including EOS. And we are looking at those maybe for the main sale, but it doesn't seem like people want to part with their EOS at the moment. So we're not too concerned about really accepting that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So interesting that decision, I guess, to raise in those currencies and then obviously operate on EOS itself.
Yep.
I guess that does put pressure potentially afterwards on the Ethereum and Bitcoin in terms of pricing. You guys are looking at an airdrop as well, or a small one. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so we were looking at an airdrop from the very beginning of our project for artists. And the whole kind of hype surrounding the EOS airdrops and something is something that's quite new. We are not at the moment following a model of just purely airdropping the tokens and spraying them out to EOS addresses. We don't believe that's a good way to get tokens into the hands of people who actually want to use your product and actually want to interact. But we probably will include an airdrop for EOS token holders who come and sign up for it and want to participate in what we're doing. So we'll drop some tokens out to artists to reward those people who get involved early adopters of the platform, and we'll include EOS token holders in that as well who want to come and be a part.
So you would airdrop onto EOS holders, I'm assuming?
Yep. Whether that's an ERC20 airdrop, which we could do, pretty much any time, to people who are in, say, the Genesis snapshot block for EOS.
Yes.
Or if it's a little bit further down the line and there's a bit more clarity around EOS token standards, we could drop EOS tokens right out as well. So, as much as we're really excited to be launching this product and this campaign at the same time as the EOS launch, there is also a lot of stuff that's shifting and moving. So
100%.
Just staying on your toes in crypto is the number one thing, right?
Yeah,
definitely. Now, when the token comes out, and obviously we're operating the platform, and just want to talk about the tokenomics and things like that. You talked about, I guess, the participation in the ecosystem, and then who's going to buy the Emanate tokens, and what will they use them for?
Yeah, so the Emanate token, like securing a holding of the Emanate token, whether it's in the ICO or through an airdrop or by participating as an artist, as an early adopter, really what that represents is a willingness and a desire to be involved in this new music ecosystem. You talked about that second token that will be used as a liquid and stable asset to move around the ecosystem. If you're holding Emanate and you're providing services to the ecosystem, then we want to be able to pay rewards out to you using that second token. So the incentive is clear to hold those original Emanate tokens. We don't believe it's possible to have just one token on an ecosystem like this because of the instability that comes with crypto. Otherwise, you end up with a Bitcoin pizza problem, where instead of having 10,000 Bitcoin pizzas, we've got 10,000 Emanate listens, and people don't want to sort of put their money into a project and then spend it listening to music.
Gotcha.
That's why that second token is necessary.
But I guess with the Emanate tokens, you were talking about, I guess, labels were going to stake them in order to publish.
Yeah.
Artists will stake them to publish as well, and then listeners would buy the secondary token, but obviously to make the secondary token, you'd need Emanate tokens in the first place.
Yeah, that's correct. And they won't buy the secondary token. It'll be almost invisible, like a credit within the system.
Yes.
We don't believe that people need to know about cryptocurrency and private keys and things to come and listen to music. So, I think it's a really important thing to know about our project is that there's a lot of other blockchain music projects that are out there that are sort of saying, cut out the middlemen, disrupt the whole industry. Go straight from artist to listener. And we believe that there is a role for everyone in the ecosystem. That's why there's a place for labels. That's why it's an evolution of the music industry as it stands rather than a massive disruption.
So just talking about competitors, obviously there are some different projects out there. How do you guys sort of differentiate yourself with the other platforms?
I think, as Sean just said, that's probably one of the key differences. A lot of the projects out there are really going from this, hey, we're going to revolutionise the industry, we're going to get rid of the middleman. And I think as we've sort of gone along on this journey, we've realised it's, I don't believe you can get rid of all of those middlemen in the ecosystem. There's a role to play for, I guess, each actor in this space. And what we need to do is really just provide the tools for, people to get on board and sort of evolve this industry together. So
we want to level the playing field a little bit, and we want to make things more efficient. And if we can do that, then there will be more money left for the artists at the end. But there's plenty of really cool labels out there, especially in the electronic music world, that put a stamp on your music that say it's of a certain standard and that give you exposure. So why would those guys get cut out of the ecosystem? As Trent was saying, that overall ethos is a key thing. The two-token economy is a key thing that we're not seeing in many other projects.
DAO governance as well.
we're setting up a DAO governance system for the community to actually have a say over what happens in the ecosystem.
And what would you need in order to vote with that?
We're looking at using a third-party platform. We've had a look at the e-ink platform. We're having a look at DAOstack, something that's really simple to get up and running quickly. But obviously, you'd need to be an Emanate holder to participate in that governance as well. I think those are probably the three key things. I guess building on EOS is another massive one in our opinion. I'm sure some of the other guys will manage to pull some things off on other platforms, but not as much of it is going to be on-chain, based on how fast those platforms are. We believe we can keep a lot of it on-chain, which means it's more secure and it's more of a truly decentralized product.
Okay. So talking about the use of blockchain with the project. So I think you guys were talking about, I guess, when music's published, there's a big system, a program, and then there is two things formed. There's the audio file, and then there's the metadata that goes with that. And I guess you guys were talking about how do those things differ, and how does that get involved with Emanate? How do they work together?
Yeah, in terms of the role that blockchain plays within it, right?
Correct.
So we want to give artists a place to publish their music as soon as it's finished. So that idea of like, right, this track is done, I'm ready to put it down, what am I going to do with it? We want them to upload it to Emanate. So that in itself will be a smart contract. So there'll be record of that track being uploaded and the properties of that track belonging to you.
Right.
Then if anybody comes along and wants to collaborate with you, that will be a smart contract as well. So we start to build up this trail of metadata around who's created the music, who's collaborated, and then that will be able to control the payments that flow to the parties that were involved as well. And when you think about all the different types of music out there, that could include tagging the fact that your track is actually a cover. It could include siphoning off a percentage for your singer, maybe even your engineer, certainly someone who comes and remixes it. So all of that metadata is stored alongside the audio, and every time that track becomes a derivative work or it changes in some way, another smart contract is executed to record that.
And you guys are talking about, I guess, within the music, getting it almost down to 10 seconds or even smaller segments of data within the blockchain. Tell us about that.
Eventually we want it to be a per second payment that goes through to the artist. I know when items on YouTube get monetized and you only get paid when it gets over 1 million plays, but are you getting paid for just the click of a play, or are you getting paid for half of the video being played and so forth? So we do want to get down to a per second payment. From what I've seen within the code that's being put together at the moment, I think we're looking at blocks of like 10 seconds.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, the dream is just you get paid for the amount of music that's listened to down to the second.
That's great. I guess within the, you guys were talking about, like, I guess if you want to sum this all up, you guys sort of look at it like you're not really competing with, I guess, Spotify, and you're more, or Apple Music or something like that. You're more competing with SoundCloud as such. So it's kind of like the blockchain, or the SoundCloud of blockchain, I guess.
Yeah, I think you could. It's hard to define. There's definitely an element of that. We're not focused purely on that streaming platform because it's a collaboration tool and it's much more than that. But in terms of like a market entry strategy and a gap in the market, we think that the average musician who's paying like $16 a month for their pro subscription on SoundCloud should have an ability to get paid for the plays from their followers. So we people are getting really frustrated with SoundCloud, like artists in particular. There's definitely an opening there, and we see ourselves more likely to partner with someone like Spotify than to kind of try and take them on. They've got a hell of a lot of money and a hell of a lot of listeners, and to focus purely on that as an entry strategy wowould be pretty crazy.
Yeah, we originally came from, I guess, we thought about the streaming platforms when we started looking at this, and yeah, as Sean said, they've got, I think, $33 billion at the moment in their war chest, and it's not somebody you sort of want to go head to head with. So we really pulled it back and sort of, we're building this from, I guess, the core and looking really at the artist of what are their core problems, and when we sort of really deep dived into that, we saw, their ability to be able to collaborate and monetize their creative workflow. So that's where we're building the project from, and organically, as time time goes on and more creative music starts to appear on that platform, there may be something where in the future where, you know, we do open it up for the public to sort of listen, because you end up with this amazing mixing pot of really unique and cool music that won't be able to find anywhere else. So, and then, you know, as Sean said, we end up going to places like Spotify and asking to look at an API feed and feed that content into those providers as well. So there's an opportunity down the track to look at something like that.
That's really cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. That's Emanate.
Can I ring the bell?
You can have. Oh, we got two questions, guys. Two questions. Question number one. Joel, give us some question out here. Tell us. Guys, thank you so much for coming in as well. Everyone appreciates.
Thanks for
What kind of questions we got here, Joel? So Yazer says, what's the group think about the chance of Bitcoin getting close to $50,000 by the end of 2018 or beginning of 2019? Trent, maybe you start with this one, and we'll go from right to left. $50,000 by the end of 2018.
Hey, I sure would like to see it at that.
How much is the asker buying? If they're buying a lot, then it's possible.
Never know your luck.
I think if mass adoption starts to sort of take its hold and we start to get into another bull run, and, you know, more and more institutional money starts to flow in, I definitely think it is a possibility. I think, you know, a lot of people look at it now as sort of the digital gold, and, you know, I think everyone's sitting on the sidelines waiting to sort of see if the floodgates open again. So I wouldn't say anything. If you look
the end
back,
of 2018 is a little bullish, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say more 2019, maybe. But then I guess if you were in early, like mid or even early last year, if you said it was going to go to 25,000 and it was sitting at, you know, $1,500, $1,000, you would have said that's freaking insane. So
it's about double where we were in early January. So
yeah, it would really have to get momentum, and I think you'd see things like the Nasdaq opening up for Bitcoin futures. You'd have to see sort of some major players entering the market, whether that's something like Amazon accepting, you know, eBay opening up, and then you'd have to see, you know, have some kind of rule and regulation around how sort of institutional money can really flow into the space to get to those numbers. But hey, I do think it is a possibility. I just don't know if I'd put
Trent,
a time
where's your
frame.
prediction? 2018, end of 2018?
I'd like to see us sort of at the end of 2018 sit around probably around that 20,000. 2019, I would like to see around 40,000. I'd like to see a bit of a stable kind of growth over the next couple of years, rather than the peaks and troughs. But I don't know if we'll see that or not.
Okay. And
Can I
Sean,
tell you what I think is key to that?
Yeah, tell us.
We're over in the States earlier in the year going to a lot of different crypto conferences, and all of the discussion was around tokenized security offerings. I do believe that eventually we're going to get to a stage where any company can tokenize their offering like an IPO, but tokenized, so they don't actually need a utility token. They don't actually need a token economy. I do think we'll get there with the right regulatory frameworks. And I think what will be key to whether Bitcoin hits 50,000 or 100,000 or not is whether those exchanges force you to buy in through Ethereum or through Bitcoin or through crypto, or whether you can just spend fiat to buy those tokenized security offerings. I think that's really, really key, because if that sort of tokenized security stuff gets forced through crypto and you have to use crypto to buy in, then we're talking about a bull run bigger than you could possibly imagine.
But the barriers to entry need to drop. Like, so the average person doesn't want to hold, you know, their Trezor and walk around with it, and, you know, worry about ledgers and, you know, worry about wallets and security. So I think there's just a few fundamentals that we need to sort of nail down before we can actually see that, you know, that kind of growth.
100%. And I think for you guys as well, I think. Sorry, Sean, you didn't give me your prediction on end of 2018.
No, not 50,000. Sorry,
50,000?
I know I should be more bullish than that, but yeah, I'm gonna cross my fingers for maybe a 20 or a 25.
A 20 or 25. So Trent, 2025.
Yeah, I think 20 to 30. I'd say 20 by the end of the year and 30 maybe by 2019.
Awesome.
As I said, steady growth's key.
It is the end of the year, man.
Growth gets us there. Bring us the second question, Joel. What else we got? Tell us what else. There's the answer. What's the second question here is from Jordan. More info on the potential Binance hack.
Can we consult Twitter?
We will we will come back to you on that, guys, with some more information about the Binance hack. In terms of prices, right now we are trading still Bitcoin at 6,464, Ethereum at 456. We actually kind of pulled up a little bit. I think last time Binance was hacked, they paid all the money out.
They did.
So
there was another hack like about 2 weeks ago. I can't remember what exchange it was, but we used to see those massive dumps whenever there was a hack, and the needle hardly moved at all the last time this happened. So the market's maturing, the market's realizing that these things will happen as we forge our way forward through the crypto environment. And I think people are not overreacting as much as they used to. So whether this is real or not, I wouldn't be surprised if it had a huge effect on the market.
Yeah, we'll check back in, guys, on the Binance hack and get you guys an update right after this. There are some addresses that we've been sending around internally here at Finder. The guys are looking into it and investigating exactly what's going on. But I wanted to thank the Emanate guys, Sean,
Thanks, man.
Trent. We wish you the absolute best of luck, and really appreciate you guys really building the industry. It seems like you're part of the frontier and helping people change their financial future with cryptocurrency. So well done. What's up, YouTube, and welcome to Crypto Finder TV from the editors and analysts of Finder.com, where we're going to help you change your life and make better financial decisions. I'm Fred Chibesta, co-founder of Finder, and I'm inviting you to join me on Crypto Finder TV right now. Come and subscribe, where we're going to teach you more about cryptocurrency and have a lot of fun along the way. Subscribe for daily videos and live streams where you can learn about technical analysis and tutorials. What is actually going on right now? Tell us. What's everyone saying? What's the sentiment you're getting from your channels? What is the buy zone? Wow, look at Tron. Breaking news that actually affects coin prices. Sentiment and price predictions. Blockchain and ICO developments. Plus, special guests, executives, and real-world traders that give you actionable insights without all the BS and blah, blah, blah around cryptocurrency. Subscribe! Do it right now! Having genuine fun. Subscribe!